Wait, so you were playing with his kids and you just wiped the floor with them too? Just
So, yeah, well, yeah. The adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old.
and I'm Jeff. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old.
So, have you ever heard the expression, not my zoo, not my monkeys?
I have not, but it sounds interesting.
So, it describes a weird scenario I found myself at the park. You or any of the gaming dads listening may relate to it. Minding my own business, my kids are playing on the playground, having a great time. And to my right, immediately to my right, two boys just start going at it, having
Oh
a good old
no.
brawl.
Okay, yeah.
Now, to be clear, this is kind of a classic 10-year-old brawl as far as you don't know how to fight. Like you're really
Right.
just kind of gloriously rolling around a little bit. Right? But it's certainly heated. And I just had that dad moment of like reflection and pause, and like everything just kind of stops, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
record scratch. And I'm looking at him like, huh.
Are you going in? Are you gonna go in? Separate
And
them
then
out?
I looked away and I walked off. just like, just was like, okay. Because here's my thinking. Like we were both young once.
Yeah.
I th-
Right.
I'm pretty sure we were. I have photos, but as best as I remember, I did not like authority necessarily, and I was a decent kid, but still, you have some rebellion against authority, especially some rando dad, right?
Right. Yep.
And the intervention would have been what, like, hey, kid, stop
Yep.
it,
Exactly. Yep.
or like, what am I gonna do? Like, grab one of them and pull it off? And it's just a 10-year-old tussle, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'll say that if it was like three boys like picking on a smaller one, or one was like obviously very hurt or something, different scenario. But this is just two buddies having a spat.
Right. Okay.
So, so I looked at it. It was just not my zoo, not my monkeys, and I walked away.
You just whistled and walked the other
Yeah,
way,
doo,
right?
doo,
Like
doo,
that was
doo,
it.
doo.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that. I think I would do the same. And I think the same experience would happen too, where everything just kind of stops. You're like, oh God, I'm on the other side of this.
Felt a bit cowardly in some ways, but I stand by my decision in the sense that like there's not a lot of good outcomes. And I'll say by the end of it too, they just went off and they're playing soccer later. Everybody's happy. So
Yeah.
the I don't want to say like the coward won, but
No,
just
no,
like,
no. Yeah.
it was certainly the right move. And
Yeah.
I'd be curious if any other gaming dads had a similar scenario. One such person we could ask would be my brother, because who has so graciously sent in the story. So longtime listeners to the show might recall the fact that I have on a few occasions brought up a story from my childhood,
Yes.
where, as I remembered it, I had inadvertently a couple of times, that's the important part, deleted my brother's save game on our brand new PlayStation. This is PlayStation 1, PS1, Resident Evil specifically. He really wanted to get through it, and at least twice I deleted his save game. Right? I remember,
Yeah.
and I remember
Yeah.
getting kicked off of the PlayStation. So we saved up all of our money. We just bought this thing. This is like within the release window.
Yeah.
And I can't touch it. I've been banished. So that was the story as I remembered it.
Yeah.
We reached out to him because we wanted to get the other side of it. We wanted to get the gaming dad's brother's recollection of a gaming moment. So here's what he sent into it about that exact experience and being a brother to a future gaming dad.
So yeah, I definitely remember playing the Resident Evil games with Trevor, and the deletion of games became a big issue. And my memory of it is always coming home, going to the gaming room to meet Trev, whose eyes were like the size of dinner plates, and he just kind of had like this kind of panicked disposition about him. It would always be followed by a confession, and I'm sure that what had preceded was just him, hurriedly trying to figure out how to undo his overwriting of the game. So at the time, I thought it was appropriate to ban him completely until I beat the game. Side note, I actually never did beat the game. And I found out years later that he was staying home from school just to have a play here and there. the only other memory really, and I mean, this is kind of an overall thing, is that it came apparent to me at a pretty young age that Trev was far better than me at most video games. And this one's way back, but we were playing this RBI baseball, I think it was called, for the NES. And Trev was just running up the score on me. Like it was like 50-0 or something. And he just wouldn't let up. Like he just kept hitting home run after home run. And it ended up with me forfeiting because, I mean, we were just in one inning and it just didn't stop. So, you know, I would have never admitted it at the time, but he was definitely the superior player. Even recently, we did this, our families played Mario Kart against each other. And Trev had just bought it. And I kind of snickered to myself, I'm going to wipe the floor. This is going to be hilarious. And then come the Saturday, we play Saturday morning. And I witnessed what I would classify as one of the most effortless wins on his part while I'm, furiously trying to drift my way to victory. But, you know, that's just the way it was. Luckily, you know, in adulthood and parenthood, I think I'm able to kind of accept it a little bit more and have more of a laugh at it. So, anyways, that'd be my take on gaming with Trev.
Oh my God! So
Wow.
just
Okay, we got the other side here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did like the rest of it was like fairly complimentary, which is definitely, as brothers grow up, you can finally start to bond a bit more. But geez, I forgot entirely about that RBI one.
You didn't let up 50-0 or whatever it was.
Especially
like
imagine like you're little, like how infuriating that would be. Like if I was the older brother, like, and I'd have to call out his patience, because if I was the older brother, I'd be pounding my little brother.
Yeah.
Like if he gets like 50 runs and he doesn't like relent at all.
Yeah.
Like what a dull jerk. Could you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like this seems like you just go full tilt no matter what in a game. Just
Yeah, I think after hearing the story too, I felt pretty damn guilty about that Mario Kart one, because I did win all of it.
effortlessly, just like not even trying. You're probably like one hand behind your back, just whatever.
I remember I remember his daughter, who's just a sweetheart, and she was speaking. I was like, "I'm coming for you, Uncle Trevor. I'm gonna get you." So I was still blasting ahead, but I must have been like halfway up the track apparently, as it was effortless.
Wait, so you were playing with his kids and you just wiped the floor with them too? Just
So, yeah, well, yeah.
no one's winning. Trevor needs to win.
Uncle Trevor's got to feel good about himself.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I remember,
Let's see
so
what it is.
us two players, so it was my son and me against kind of a roving band. It's there's 3 kids and then my brother. So there's like 4 of them. They're kind of just taking turns, and 2 of us. So we just kept running it up. But the little kid, so deleting his save game, getting kicked off the PlayStation, you can't touch it. Staying home from school, I do remember that. I remember once there was a game I had bought that I was just nuts for.
Yeah.
PlayStation, like you were some series of extreme sports characters. So you were either a luge or skateboard or rollerblade or whatever.
Yeah.
And I adored it. So, but I never got to play it enough. So I remember at least 2 occasions faking sick, so I could just stay home and play the entire day.
Wow. Ferris Bueller. Just
So I was like calling, like, I'm not feeling so good. I don't think I could go in today.
good
Like,
moves.
all right. Like
Yeah.
my parents are at work. Like, what are they? It's like, yeah, I guess. Like, stay home, I guess, if you're sick.
Yeah.
And then running over and then of course like having to play sick once they do come home. You hear the car door and you like have to go get under the blanket.
Right.
Oh, hey, yeah, I mostly just slept today.
Yeah, but being banished from a system that you know, it's brand new, it's in your house, you need to play it. But then you're overwriting or deleting saves.
Yeah, that
Brutal.
all we need now is a bit of insight into Jeff's brother's gaming stories to see how he fared against you back in the day.
Yeah, I'll have to get him on the line because he hasn't responded, and maybe that's the trauma. Maybe I just, brought that up to him, and he just like freaked out. He shut down. That's it.
Anybody listening, if you have a gaming dad's story, gaming brother story, anything else related to that, toss it into the show. We'd love to get an audio recording of your story on the air here. This one and some other ones that we've heard have just been an absolute riot. So we want to get some gaming dads covered. And speaking of that, we got an incredible response to childhood gaming trauma on Twitter this week.
Yeah.
Jeff called out on a tweet, like, what is your childhood gaming trauma? Like, Jeff, why don't you speak to a bit? It was a wild thread.
Yeah. So I actually, just to start the thread, I came across a video that I showed my kids. I shouldn't have showed them. Yes. In Mario 64, which my son is trying to replay again. If you watch or listen to last episode, he gave up on it. Like Mario All-Stars is gone. He didn't want to play it, but he's trying to get back into it.
Nice.
I got him to this snow level where if anybody remembers Mario 64, there's a penguin, a baby penguin that's wandering around, and a mother penguin that needs the baby penguin back, and that's how you get one of the stars. And I said, oh yeah, I remember this part. And my son's like, what do you mean? And I showed him a YouTube video of where you can pick up the baby penguin and just chuck him off the cliff. Horrible. He was mortified. And
he wasn't, wait a minute, he wasn't in stitches? That was the funniest thing.
He was mortified because it was a baby penguin. He's like, why'd you do that?
What are you talking about, son? Back in my day.
Yeah, and the worst part is that the player, or whoever it was, got the star already and then took the baby penguin and like, that's enough of that, and threw him over the cliff.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do. You can't sacrifice your star.
Yeah, right.
You had to do it afterwards. Thanks for the star, sucker.
Right.
Punt.
But
penguin punt.
That conjured up my gaming trauma. Like that's a memory that kind of sits with me, and probably started it for my son.
The more important part there, Jeff, is that that's now a gaming memory that sits with your son forever.
That's right. The cycle continues. It's just perpetuating it forever. But no, we got a really good response, and even yourself responded to this thread where terrifying image of Resident Evil and
oh yeah. So I responded with a GIF of if anybody remembers playing, much to our last story, just Resident Evil 1, when you see the first zombie and he turns and looks at you, we have a GIF on our Twitter, and it's just like everything about that game was so horrifying, and then this first breaking moment where it got real, like real quick. I hated that scene. I could still and just how the eyeball is just staring into your soul. I couldn't stand it. But man, let's go through some of these other gaming dad ones. So we have Kupo or Coopot stickers or Kupo T stickers.
Yeah. Writes,
losing my save file for Secret of Evermore. Oof.
Not by a brother, I hope.
Yeah. Oh, that. So Andy Slam Bam comes with "Don't Get Me Started," showing, you'll have to remember from the Ocarina of Time, when you're in one of the dungeons, and if you turn your back and the shadow comes about it, this corpse awful monster just like jumps on your back and starts sucking like your life force.
Yeah. In a Nintendo game. I don't know how this made the cut. Honestly, like I don't know how. Oh, parents, this is great. It's a kid's game. It's Zelda.
The tonal shift, and like it was devastating. It was terrifying. The music, like I'm sure anybody who sees the picture and remembers the scene immediately kind of gets the sense of the music, because it was such a tonal shift for that game is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's shivers down my spine at least.
So yeah, great one from Andy at Andy Slam Bam for that one. At Skinny Matt K responds, the lasers coming from Quickman and Mega Man 2.
Yeah, anything Mega Man I could never beat. Yeah. So that trauma is living with me forever. So
Good friend of the show, Gavin, so Art by Gavin, puts up an image of Battletoads, and nobody even needs to see the image. Like, what's a level, as soon as I say Battletoads, original Battletoads, like what's one of the levels anybody who's listening thinks of immediately?
Exactly, it's that speedrun tunnel. It's
the
that
speedster, like the floating hover car, hover bike thing, like the worst damn level. I hated that level. Like, it's terrible.
It's one that I commented in the thread that I don't think I could ever go back to, because my memory wouldn't be able to hold up to the sequence of the controls. Like, as a kid, I could remember the up, down, and like when to jump and all that, but it got too fast for even my reflexes as a kid. So good luck. I don't know.
Yeah, could never go back. Would never have interested in it. M. Mark Well responds, almost every NES game ever made rented with no instruction manual.
Yeah. Anybody that remembers renting, yeah, or photocopies where they would miss a page or be black and white.
The thread is just fantastic. We have another one from Parasolo89 with another Resident Evil one with a dog busts through the door for the first time. It is fantastic. We actually have some really interesting games too, ones I hadn't quite seen. A good friend of the show there, Blue, at Writer's View, and that's from Story Mode Podcast, conjures an image of the Lion King, which was just like, I think for some reason for me, the Genesis version of it was always much worse than Super Nintendo. I think it's just because I was unused to the buttons, which just made the requirement for such precision all the much worse.
Precision and no lives, like no continues. I remember that being just a brutal gauntlet.
Man, so thank you everybody else for reaching out on it. Like, it was just a terrifying thread to go through. Just sad childhood gaming trauma, which, if you're like Jeff, you're going to decide to put your own kid through, tough them up a little bit, I suppose.
Might as well, right? Again, let it continue. Life goes on. Here's my memories. Pass them on to the next generation.
So serendipitously, we actually had Jeff had an awesome tweet this week, and it relates to a story that I just went through recently with my son in gaming. So Jeff, you were talking with your kids about online digital safety, apparently.
Yeah, just how you put out information online. You don't say your real name. You don't click on pop-ups. And we never, under any circumstances, ever buy WinRAR. Ever. You leave it at free trial forever. It's one of those unwritten rules.
Listen, friends don't let friends buy WinRAR.
Never.
That poor software.
Right? What perks do you get? What is it like?
It related perfectly for a story that just even today I had to deal with, where my son and I are playing Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville.
Oh, very nice.
Now, this is free on Xbox Game Pass. It's surprisingly great. Like the fidelity of the graphics, the level design, it's got to be one of the most well-crafted and well-designed levels I've ever seen. The level design is amazing. Colorful, bright, unique. Like, it's the graphic fidelity is awesome. Like, it looks amazing, plays a lot of fun. It's very much like a super kid-friendly version of Fortnite in a way.
Oh, okay. Kind of like that Gateway.
Slapdash, it's very much a different play style, but it's, shooting teams, everyone going on it. There's a story mode, there's a campaign, which we're really excited about. We're having a lot of fun. But in order to do split screen in this one, so previous Plants vs. Zombies, 2 controllers, split screen, away you go. Great.
Yep.
This one, they require both players to have an Xbox account.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So click, click, click. I'd like to do split screen. It's like, well, you'll need an extra Xbox account. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I signed up my kid for a quick Switch one, as far as just like new character, what's his name, what's his avatar. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. So this is wonderful. What's his email?
Oh no, that's when everything stops again. You're like, whoa,
squeak.
wait.
You might be wondering how I got here. Yeah, it's one of those moments where you're stopping yourself and, okay, I guess I'm going to get him a gaming email. Like, is there an issue with me getting him an email?
Yeah.
Feels a bit off. Do your kids have emails for like a similar circumstance?
Yeah, we had to sign them up for Steam, which required emails. And it's one of those things where you have to decide if they're old enough or not. Because they can be old enough for the email, but not necessarily the service that you're signing up for. So it's one of those weird situations where, okay, you own this email, and where is it going to go? And it's gonna live with you for a bit. And if any purchases or anything goes under this email, that's kind of a deal too, right? And they want their names in the emails. So much like we were talking about, like, online privacy stuff. You can't have your name in the email. Sorry, like it's not a good thing. So
and that's where I kind of struggled too, because I can remember there's been 2 instances of this, and I'll say one of the first one was when my first son was like much younger, so let's call it like even 3.
Okay.
We had gotten for desperate dinner scenarios or whatever else, we'd gotten an Android tablet just so we could play there's actually some fairly interesting games there where it's puzzle matching shapes, colors,
right?
Like
okay.
Some stuff we actually like. It was kind of interesting, but with the way he ham-fisted it, like just slamming it all the time, it's like, I don't want my actual account connected to this thing. Because then also I'd have to leave it unlocked, like tons of problems with it, right? Purchasing the whole 9 yards. But in order to get to download anything, you needed an account. And at this phase 2, there wasn't really good kid modes per se, especially not on this tablet. So I ended up signing up with this like really wacky Gmail account, something like, it's called Adrian Bad Tablet 66528 like at gmail.com, whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Right. Just to have it. And occasionally, and I had to connect it, like I accessed it just so I could see it, but I could see emails coming in from Google saying like, hey, you signed up for such and such game. Would you like to download DLC? I'm like, cool. He's already getting spam.
Yep.
Kid can't talk. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Just like,
No. And it, like, again, I can relate to that where I had my account tied to a tablet where my kids were going, again, ham-fisted with whatever game we had. My son was, I think, 5. And all of a sudden I get a text from my buddy saying, hey, you really like this ninja game, eh? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I think he's just giving me,
God.
like, he's giving me the gears. And he's like, no, go check your Twitter. And I have like 15 tweets of screenshots because it links to your Twitter. So my son is there saying, hey, if you tweet this, you get in-game currency or whatever. So he just slams that button.
jeez.
So that's when we signed up for a new spam email like you were doing. So lesson learned.
Yeah, no, I had that same thing with PlayStation because back with my old PlayStation when I first got it, I found that the easiest way for me to get photos from the screenshots I had taken
Yeah.
onto my computer wherever else I wanted it was by tweeting it out. Except, like, I don't want to. There was something about this disconnect where I have a personal Twitter and in some tiny way it's almost like professional.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't want to have these like funny looking shot, like, hey, look, the zombie's like head fell off, ha ha ha,
Right.
on my like personal public Twitter. So I'd signed up for some rando Twitter account that has no followers, follows nobody, and just tweets photos that I take on my PlayStation. It's the one purpose of this account. So a burner account basically for it. I had a bit of a different experience with the email though, because in signing up for the Microsoft one, they kind of direct you to Outlook as opposed to Gmail.
Oh, right.
And I kind of felt compelled to actually just get them a good email address.
Okay.
Because I will say, like, in professional capacity, if you're applying for jobs or whatever else, if you're sending people emails from hotgameguys85 at hotmail.com, like, that doesn't look great. It's not a good look. So I thought, no one will have this email. It will exist, but it's not as if we'll be using it for anything. So I may as well create one that maybe he can take over one day. Because at some point, he's probably going to want to sign up for some services, like when he's old enough and responsible enough.
Yeah.
And we have the online safety conversation like you've had. So I actually got him a good email address, like for that specifically, like registered the password, everything else, put his name in it. And that's what we use to sign up for this new Xbox account.
Okay.
And now that, so here's one of the problem is when signing up for Xbox, it asks, okay, how old are you? Like when were you born? Mm-hmm. And here comes the dilemma because I would like it to be a kid's account to make sure what he see if for some reason he's ever on it without me, which is not how this operates currently, but someday in future.
Yep.
But as a kid account, you can't purchase stuff, you can't access things you shouldn't be seeing. It'd be great. So that actually sounds wonderful. Except, I don't know how they rank Plants vs. Zombies, the game we're trying to get into. This entire Razzle-Dazzle show has been about us playing Plants vs. Zombies together. And if I'm honest and I say he's 5, turning 6, would they let him even play? You know what I mean? And I'd have to go through the whole thing again just to fake his age. Did you encounter that when you're trying to produce your faux accounts anywhere?
Yeah, actually. And I think I know PlayStation gives you like, you have to be 13 or older to actually have this. So it gives you that little warning. So I think in the eyes of Sony, they're 13. But it does open them up to a whole bunch of other things that you can lock down a little bit, but it's still kind of like that. It gives you that pause, right? Where you're trying to decide whether or not they're old enough for this. But specifically with Nintendo and the Switch, it's usually pretty good where you just set up a profile and go. But now that my kids are now getting digital games for their ownership, I'm thinking like, okay, I don't want to own these games because you can't transfer anything.
Oh, that's right.
So,
oh no. Okay.
It's like this is their birthday game. I don't want to own Ori and the Will of the Wisps if it's
Again.
my son's game, right?
Yeah.
So I had to create emails for them to own the games and give them store accounts for them to get in and download those games. So it's almost like I actually created a password that they cannot remember at all.
Okay.
So at least the profile is there, but the password's impossible. So
Okay, that's halfway there. Man, that's interesting because I've seen some accounts too where you're not even allowed. I don't even know how popular this is on current gaming systems, but I can remember a time when you're signed up for this gaming system. What's your credit card?
oh yeah,
Give us your credit card,
Yep.
and that's pretty scary if it was going to be like on a kid's account. But then and I say kids as in quote unquote. It's like the PlayStation thing. You have to be 13.
Yep.
Okay, he's 13. Great. What's your credit card?
Yep.
Yeah, about that.
Yep.
No.
I think Nintendo actually does that. They charge you a cent just to make sure that you're not spamming it. It might be Nintendo or it
interesting.
might be one of them. But then you have to remember to go in and erase that card or disconnect that card, right? So it's like one of those where nope, no thanks. My kid's gonna spam
Yeah.
that button. Who knows what's gonna happen? You hear all those stories.
Okay, it really kind of calls it. There's a number of things that aren't really dad/family friendly. So I'll hit your point as well. But in my first one with Plants vs Zombies, what's frustrating is that the Xbox will let you just have a guest account, right?
Yeah.
So it'll just say add a second player. Great. Who do you want to sign in as?
Right.
My actual account, and then want to just add a guest? Like sure. And then it just puts a random bunch of characters. Like all right, there you go, play. But this game particularly said no. You have to actually have an account,
Yeah.
and then you have to have an EA account.
I was about to say, does it link into EA? Because that might be
Yeah, that was the issue. So, it's so unfriendly. Like, so you have split screen, but you're going to have it behind all of these hassles where I have to sign up my kid. What is the experience with signing on to Steam? I'd be kind of curious because there is some very unkid friendly things on Steam that we do not want them to see.
Yeah. So the kind of the lowdown is you still need an email. You still need to confirm that email. I forget if you need a credit card to confirm it, but you do need to confirm it in some way. And then you can set up a family view. So I've set up a family view with my kids underneath of it so that the store is not accessible. So, because some of the items that appear on the store are just not appropriate for them right now.
No. And those often show up on the front page when you open
Yes.
up Steam.
Big ones too,
Yeah.
right? Like
Big ones, Jeff. Describe what do you mean by big ones?
big ones. We have Resident Evil Village coming out. There's going to be
Yeah.
big ones right there. So it's just not appropriate. So I locked them out of that. The only problem is that they need to get out of Family View to play together. So that's when I can come in and open it up and they can play co-op together. But it's very much the same process. You need that email, you need to confirm it, and you need to get them in, and all their purchases fly underneath them, or you can kind of have your purchases borrowed by them, which is kind of neat. So
Okay.
in Nintendo, you can't really do that besides play the profile on the games that are already owned, but Steam kind of gives you that ability to, almost like rent to each kind of kid.
One last quick one. Before we wrap up for the night, the Minecraft and playing online with other people.
Oh yeah.
Is that a connection with just a username and that's it, or does that require an email?
It requires, because it's owned by Microsoft, so
no.
you need one of their accounts along with your PlayStation account to play online with people. So my account is being used because it has PlayStation Plus to go online to play with people.
Okay. Okay. So it's just Jeff, but your kids play together. Do they both sign in as you?
They
And
sign
then
in
They can play
as-
in house.
to play over LAN. They sign it under their own profile, so it's fine that way. But they still need Microsoft accounts to kind of like track their progress or their profile. But if they want to play online with other kids and other friends, they have to go under my profile. Like at least one of them has to, and then the other one can join the world. And that's how they get online. So I'm online earning trophies, Trevor. I've got so many Minecraft. I'm an expert.
It's good
Just
to
to let you know.
I just want to try that. It's like Jeff, you're spending a lot of time playing online with kids in Minecraft. Is everything okay? That's just like that's just dad appropriate. What's up, bud?
I mean, if I see kids fighting in the playground, I can talk to them
There you
about
go.
Minecraft, right? I could be like, hey, look, listen, there'll be a creeper.
There'll be a bunch of kids just fighting each other in Minecraft, and you'll water all like, hey, what's all this? They turn around, it's like, shut up, old man. Like, oh, nuts. I got nothing.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Lost. Your character just disappears.
Just floats up. Floats up. That's it. I'm out.
I'm leaving.
See you later.
And that will wrap it up for the week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. Do you have a gaming dad moment to share? Did you have trouble signing your kid up for a service? Did you have a older brother who beat you mercilessly in a game, or perhaps deleted your save files like I did to my poor brother? If so, we would love to have the story on the show. Just send us a note or an audio clip. Would love to get you featured. You can do so at our website, newdadgaming.com, where you can also find all the information about the show as well as being able to submit things. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at New Dad Gaming. Would love to have some stories, love some interactions. As far as the podcast goes, you can find it on all of the major podcasting services. So you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere where you get your podcast. If you could subscribe, if you could leave a comment, that would be phenomenal as we try to grow the show and reach out to as many gaming dads as possible. Thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming.
What's your name?
What is my name? My name is Trevor, and I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. And just because you became a dad
Doesn't mean it's game over.